In this video, we're going to learn how to add and subtract mixed numbers. By the end of the video, you should be able to add positive and negative mixed numbers and subtract positive and negative mixed numbers. This is video 1 of 2, and this first video is going to look at common denominators. So example 1, we have 1 and 2 fifths, and we're adding 2 and 2 fifths. So 1 and 2 fifths looks like this, and 2 and 2 fifths like this. And if we put these together, we can see that all together we've got 1, 2, 3 wholes and 4 fifths. Now, if we look at that in another way, we might want to change these into improper fractions first. So we can see from the diagram, the existing diagram here, that 1 and 2 fifths is the same as 7 fifths. And we're adding on 12 fifths. And altogether that gives us 19 fifths, or what we had previously, 3 and 4 fifths. Example 2. So we've got 1 and 2 fifths, and this time we're adding 2 and 4 fifths. Now, this might seem very similar to the previous example, but you'll maybe see why it's different in a minute. So we've got 1 and 2 fifths, and 2 and 4 fifths. And putting those together, now we can see that we're actually going to bridge another whole. So that's why this example is slightly different from the last one. And then when we put all of that together, you can see we've got 4 and 1 fifth. And again, if you to add the two whole numbers together, we would get 3. If we to add 2 fifths and 4 fifths, we would get 6 fifths, which is 1 and 1 fifth. And adding that to the existing 3 wholes, we then get 4 and 1 fifth as well. So there's a few ways of looking at this. Now we can also do it the same way as we did with example 1 and look at it using improper fractions. So that's the same as 7 fifths plus 14 fifths. And altogether we've got 21 fifths, or 4 and 1 fifth. Now example 3, we're starting to bring negatives into this here. So negative 1 and 2 fifths is going to look like this. And we're adding 2 and 4 fifths. Now if we put these together using zero pairs, we can see that we're left with 1 and 2 fifths. Now we can look at this example again using improper fractions. So if we change these mixed numbers to improper fractions, we're going to get negative 7 fifths plus 14 fifths. And that will give us 7 fifths, or our 1 and 2 fifths, as we had previously. Example 4. So 1 and 2 fifths minus 2 and 4 fifths. So there's our 1 and 2 fifths, and our 2 and 4 fifths. Now we're subtracting here, so we know that subtracting is the same as adding the additive inverse. So here we have positive 2 and 4 fifths, and the additive inverse of that is negative 2 and 4 fifths. Going to look for our zero pairs again here. And you can see that we've got 1 and 2 fifths left. Sorry, negative 1 and 2 fifths left. And again, like the other 3 examples, we can look at this using improper fractions as well. So 7 fifths minus 14 fifths. And you can see we've got negative 7 fifths left. or negative 1 2/5. Example 5, so we've got 1 2/5 minus negative 2 4/5. Our diagrams, as we've had previously. And we know that subtracting is the same as adding the additive inverse, so we're adding the additive inverse of negative 2 4/5, which is positive 2 4/5. Putting those together in the diagram, and you can see there that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 wholes and 1/5. Again, having a look at that with our improper fractions. So 1 2/5 minus negative 2 4/5 is the same as 7/5 plus 14/5, because we've added the additive inverse of negative 2 4/5. That addition then gives us 21/5 or 4 1/5. Example 6. Negative 1 2/5 minus 2 4/5. So here's our negative 1 2/5, and we're subtracting positive 2 4/5. But we know when we're subtracting that we're adding the additive inverse, which gives us negative 2 4/5. Putting these diagrams together, you can see that we've got negative 4 1/5. Similarly, with this example, we're going to look at it using improper fractions as well. So negative 1 2/5 minus 2 4/5 expressed as improper fractions is negative 7/5 minus 14/5. Subtracting that gives us negative 21/5 or negative 4 1/5. Example 7, so this time we've got negative 1 2/5 minus negative 2 4/5. Now we're subtracting, so again we know that means that we're adding the additive inverse. So the additive inverse of negative 2 4/5 is positive 2 4/5. Looking for our zero pairs here, and we've got positive 1 2/5 left. And as always, looking at this same example with our improper fractions. So negative 7/5 plus 14/5, and that gives us 7/5 or 1 2/5. Now I've been through a lot of examples there, so here's some for you to try, just using sort of every combination of our negatives and positives here. So just now would be a good time to pause the video, go and try these, and then I'll give you the answers. Okay, so hopefully you've had some success with those, whether you're using the diagrams or you're using improper fractions there. So the answers to the first section: 5 2/7, 2 3/7, negative 2 3/7, 5 2/7, negative 5 2/7, and positive 2 3/7. And for the second section, 6, 1 5/9, negative 1 5/9, 6, negative 6, and positive 1 5/9. So you've now learned how to add and subtract positive and negative mixed numbers with the same denominators. So if you now watch video 2, which will teach you how to add and subtract mixed numbers with different denominators.